I thought about what we need, and generally every time I think about coaches, speakers, trainers, authors, and what we need, then obviously we need more clients. We need the whole process to be easier. We need to not have to hustle so much in order to be able to just do what we love and earn good money doing it. So I was very inspired. I don't know if any of you on my email, there was a link to an article that had been written by Kevin Hogan. So I get this email from Kevin Hogan for years now. It's called Coffee with Kevin Hogan. It comes in every Sunday. And I rarely read any of the newsletters I get, but I always kind of look over his because they're pretty interesting. So I read that article, and the thing that really hit me about it was just so true for me, and we'll check in with you and see if it's true for you, is that we busy ourselves doing everything but the one thing we really need to do to build our business. Like, you know, that phone call that you need to make that you're dreading making, but it will make all the difference in the world. You know, that class that you need to create that's like your free webinar that's going to, you know, whatever it is, and we'll talk about what some of those actions are. That's the one thing that you can't seem to get yourself to do. So then what do? You busy yourself like prettying up a website. People are not going to find your website organically. You have to be actively doing things that lead people to your website. There's no sense in having one. So I today outlined what are the specific things that you actually need. And those might be different depending on what you're trying to do. We can talk about that. Then I took a look at the fact that you've got to have something to offer. So a lot of people, they put all this really fancy infrastructure out there, but they don't actually have an offer. Like, what exactly is it that I can easily click and buy that I know? Not just a whole, oh, give me a call and we'll figure out what I can offer for you. People don't buy that unless they already know you. And then finally, what is that action plan where I can be doing those right actions on a regular basis? Because another thing that Kevin Hogan said in that article I thought was really important was what's going on in your life right now is the result of what you were doing a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, in order to make what's happening for you happen right now. Like Virginia, I know you and I are both doing some training with this smaller training company. So that had to do with the fact that we've been excellent trainers. We have a reputation, and we've been networking with our fellow trainers to where we got recommended to teach at this training company, right? So these are actions we've been doing years previous that have brought us to this place. So did any of you actually read that article or look over that article?
I read it, Sherry. It's Virginia. I've read the whole thing.
Did you relate to some of that, what he said, as being true for you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially the things that you have to do. And then you keep saying, oh, you know, it's not that important, or I'll get to it tomorrow, or I don't have time because I have to do something else. Like, you know, trainings come up, got to get ready for the training. So absolutely relate to what he's talking about.
And the fact is, you've been doing training so long that the training would have gone almost as well had you not put that extra hour of effort into it. Had you put that extra hour of effort into the thing that really mattered, it would have made a dramatic difference. Like, that's what we're really looking for, right?
Yeah, well, that's why I decided to go ahead and log into, you know, at least call on the phone and see some ideas. Maybe something would spark my attention.
Excellent. So
Sherry,
go ahead.
One really weird, I don't know if this is weird or not, but, you know, busying yourself doing other things, it's so crazy. I find myself, whatever it is, like in the space that I should be doing, I want to do like something else in that space and time. What is that about?
Yeah.
Does anybody? Crazy.
Yeah, right in that moment, like, of all the things that you could be doing, the one thing that you really need to do, and you may have even planned for it, you may even have gotten all your resources together and set aside time to do it, and you just can't get yourself to do that one most important thing.
Yep.
So anybody else just kind of check in on where you are, like, especially if I haven't seen you for a while, like Kristen, you know, what are you doing? I know, Bobby, you check in with me and kind of let me know what's going on with building your coaching business. And Virginia, I just saw you at the marketing summit, and Kathy. But just a couple of you, just kind of, where are you? What are you doing with your business? What do you need?
Hey, Sherry, it's Kristen.
Hey.
I'm working with high school and college students, helping them to figure out a career plan after college or after high school. And I'm using Strengths Finders. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach, so I use that in my practice. And, you know, the reason I checked in today, just what you're talking about, is making sure that I'm doing the right things, not just the busy work stuff. To be visible. My word for this year is visibility. So it's all about just being out there.
And I know visibility is a thing for you. Like you've struggled with that a little bit, right? Like the willingness to be visible, right? So good for you.
Kind of. So for instance, I started a webinar that I do every other week with another person. So that's one thing I'm doing this year. And I'm also making my own event. So I'm going to do a half-day college planning untangled event where we help parents figure this out. And I'm bringing extra people in with me to do that are in the college space. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm making the priority. And then just trying to get more speaking gigs.
And then just so that everyone else kind of gets a feel for how what I'm sharing today works. The way I met Kristen was I got a speaking gig in Dallas at like a big women's conference in North Texas, I think. And Kristen was one of the participants in that conference, and she saw me speak. She saw my breakout session. She came to my little display table and signed up for my coach certification. So every one of these things that we do all interconnects. So the more feelers you have out there, the easier it is to kind of build this web that brings in a nice structure where you might not have to hustle as hard because you have multiple nets out there in the water that are catching things, right? Which is what you're doing with your webinar and your events and your posts and things like that. Very cool. Nice to catch up. Anybody else want to check in terms of what you're up to, where you are, and what you need before we start doing those things?
Hey, Sherry.
Hey.
So I made a decision from after going to the marketing summit that I am going to work on my coaching business. I kind of let it die when I started doing the prior. So, you know, because I was a little overwhelmed doing that. So I did just get off 2 5-day back-to-back runs, which of course I accomplished nothing during that time. But this week I'm off. Today's my birthday, by the way. I just turned 58 today, and I woke up. I was like, please just let me wake up tomorrow. So I woke up today. It's my birthday. And so I'm going to start working on my coaching business and reviving it. And I switched lanes since I was originally doing it. So I was doing wellness because that was the industry I was in when I started coaching. And now since I've been doing prior, I've realized that I do really have a passion for women's leadership. So I'm going to relaunch coaching in that lane. So this week is a big week because of course I go back on the road on Sunday for a couple of weeks. So that my goal this week is to get some things done with that. So
let me add you to my Coach Mastermind Facebook group if you haven't clicked that button yet, because I have several other women graduates who work with that target audience, and you might be able to collaborate and make some kind of interesting things happen. So
all right, cool, thanks.
Good.
Sherry, I have a conversation scheduled on the 24th with a company called Talking Talent.
Pull it out.
And I'm very interested to kind of see where that goes. They're a coaching company, and they're centered around coaching parents.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, it is awesome because God knows I'm definitely ready to make a transition from, as you know, this 8 to 5 that's been the bane of my existence. But I'm grateful for the paycheck, but Lord knows it does not lend to my talents at all.
Thank you.
So I'm excited about that.
So one of the things I want you all to know about Robbie is that even though she's got an 8 to 5 job that's pretty demanding, from the moment she came to her first marketing summit and got certified as a coach, she has been out there like going to networking events, talking to like big decision makers like mayors and heads of chambers of commerce and big HR departments and just everybody she can. And she says, this is my passion. I want to help working moms. And she submits proposals and she talks to people like that. When you think about that one thing that is going to make the biggest difference, the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference is when there are people around you, you talk to them and you find out what they're struggling with and you look to see how what you do matches. Like that's the biggest boat that we're missing, and Robbie goes for that.
because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. So I really appreciate that.
But like you heard Kathy say, you know, when we're on the road doing back-to-back 5-day runs, we don't get anything done. And that's a little bit more challenging maybe than an 8 to 5 because you got your big drive time in between, but and you're in a city where you don't know anybody. But still, you know, it's pretty amazing that you're able to hold down a full-time job and do as much as you do to prospect.
Thanks
And
for
then
helping.
Terry, go ahead. And then Terry Walker, I know you had a full-time job and you were just adamant that you needed to quit that job and do what you do. And I think you've quit that job, but we're still in that space where you're just about to are you in a place where you're making any money doing what you do yet? Do we need to get you making some money right away?
Well, we need to get to work on some of that, but I do have some exciting news, and that is that I just landed a keynote speech, and also to follow up with a 2-hour training for the state of Tennessee for 100 people on March 10th. So I'm real excited about that, and working to put together a presentation for all of that, and so that is very exciting for me. And I'm needing to be able to try to put together a 1-page so that I can get those ready to hand out, and then also update or upgrade my coaching and getting that pulling in. The show that I'm doing now is starting to take hold and get some attention as well. But I do need some help with getting out there and really trying to get some clients for coaching.
I was just thinking when you said that, we need to make you an offer page for that event, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So,
need help.
So
I've got all the
happy.
material together. I just don't know how to fix it to where it's all pretty and, you know, and makes good sense. So with that, I could use your help on that if any way possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, so one of the things on the agenda today is just a quick down and dirty lesson on how to make a 1-sheet in like 45 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So excellent. And there was one more thing that you said that was kind of important. Well, no, I mean, that's good. The key is getting the keynote is only the beginning. Getting the keynote is great. Leveraging the keynote is what we need to be able to do, right? And Jeff Klein is a good person for being able to do that. So, hey, welcome. All right, Arlene, I'm excited to see you. I see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while, so feel free to speak up, you know, as we move forward, because I'll have plenty of times when Valari, I see you all.
Hi.
Hey. But I do want to, you know, give you what you came for. So anybody have anything else you want to absolutely kind of say you were looking forward to saying before we jump into that?
Sherry, I want to ask you, I just landed something. I've been talking with a client for 2 years. They want to use my customized curriculum to go into the prisons to train the inmates on etiquette and character building. And I'm really lost. I don't even know what to do, how to do it. I did say to the young lady, we've had 2 conference calls. We're going to get together a 3rd time, but I really don't know how to move forward with this, but it's really big. She said money is not an option. However, they want to take my program, put it into the prison system, and pay me a licensing fee to use my customized curriculum. I don't even know where to begin, what to do, and how to lay it out. I did share with her the only way I teach it is I do it face to face. She said, we can't do that. We have to send it into the prison system via e-learning. So I'm lost. I don't even know.
Get off. I'm on my thing. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Patricia.
So I don't even know where to begin, where to start. I did speak to my sister-in-law. She's a judge. She was a lawyer. She's a judge now, and told me it's probably a lot behind that has to be prepared before it goes into the prison system. So that's where I am right now.
So I'd be happy to help you with the creation and recording of it. Another person I recommend that you talk to is Dr. Angela Massey. She will know better what to charge in terms of licensing fees.
Gotcha. Okay, great.
Make sure you can think about having an annual renewal instead of so it's always being renewed. instead of
Okay.
just paying and walking, or getting paid and walking away.
Well, there's
Okay.
royalties. It's that you get paid every
Yeah.
time it's presented. Yeah. So there are a couple of avenues there. But don't just, all of us are recommending, don't just take one lump sum and one and done. Because that's a
Okay.
mistake. That's an amateur mistake that we've all
Okay.
made, probably.
Great. Thank you.
Exciting news. Excellent.
Oh, I'm extremely excited. Oh my gosh.
Good. I see that you got here, Patricia. Awesome. So what I'd love to kind of let you know what to do first is, I don't think that your web page is that important. I think it's awesome to have a web page. Your web page is not going to get you business. After you meet people, what your web page gives you is credibility. Oh, look, she really is a business. She's not just some gal that was just trying to hack away. But you know what? If you're good, you can even be just some gal that's hacking away. And as long as you can help them with their problem, they don't care. I do think that you probably need more than anything, more than a web page. And some people will disagree with me, but I think more than a web page, you need an awesome LinkedIn page. And if you have an
If the web
awesome
page-
LinkedIn page, then you're probably fine. I mean, if you had to pick, is what I mean. But it's
Yeah.
somebody. What did
I would
somebody
put the
say?
same, Sherry, it's Jeff here. I would just put the same content from your LinkedIn page onto a web page, because you're right, a web page won't get you business, but lack of one will lose your business.
You know what I did when I first started, though, Jeff? Like, seriously, when I first started, I bought my URL. So you need your URL, sherryprindle.com or whatever. But I got my URL. The very first thing I did was I just had it forward itself to my LinkedIn page, so that people could go sherryprindle.com and boom, it would take them somewhere, And if you actually want to do what Jeff said, I mean, I've done this for people before, but I don't think anybody's ever done anything with it. But if you're a graduate of one of my coach certification programs, I'll be happy to create you. I have hosting that's got unlimited subdomains. I'll be happy to install WordPress on your website, and I won't do anything but that. But I'll give you hosting, and I'll install WordPress on your site, and you can build it. I mean, anybody. I've done that for lots of people, and every time I look at it, they haven't done anything with it. So to me, it's almost like if it's free, you don't tend to take advantage of it. But I mean, that is there. So I'm going to
And
talk
Sherry-
about LinkedIn.
Yeah, and Sherry at sherryprindle.com is a lot more professional than Sherry at Gmail or Yahoo.
True. And that, yeah. And by the way, when I do that thing with giving you hosting and giving you installing WordPress, then you also get that email address that goes with the domain. It's just a forwarding. So what I can do is I do a domain forwarding. I do a forwarding to where Sherry at sherryprindle.com forwards to sherryprindle at yahoo.com, but you can still use Sherry at sherryprindle.com. So I'm just going to give a quick kind of rundown of the LinkedIn thing. And again, if you want to buy a URL and have me host it and install WordPress on it and forward the email address to some email that you have, just to have that, like Jeff said, that's always on the table if you're a graduate of one of my coach certification programs. But I do think you need, in addition to an awesome LinkedIn profile, some kind of collateral materials. Terry just talked about needing kind of a one sheet. I think it's important that you have a coaching agreement or a speaking proposal, a training proposal. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you've done my coach certifications or a marketing summit, there are sample proposals in your Dropboxes for those items. And then I also think you need a means for delivering materials. So if you have somebody that you need to send a video to, or you need to send them your one sheet or whatever, certainly you can attach it as an email. But if you want to be able to have a way for them to click a link and then get to your one sheet or get to a video proposal or whatever, then if you have a website, you can just create a link on your website and the website will deliver it for you. But you can also do that with your free Dropbox account. You can put it in a Dropbox folder and share a link to the folder. So I'm just trying to give those of you who have these excuses, I'm not doing it because first I need a website. I'm not doing it because first I need some fancy way to deliver. Many of you are ahead of these things that I'm sharing, but if you're not, I want you to have no excuse. Like, if you have these things, you can get clients. I know lots of people who have just these things and are doing a great job of getting clients. I think the biggest other thing is you need a plan. So you need a goal, you need to break the goal down, give it some structure, take some specific actions, schedule those actions. It's kind of like that article that Kevin Hogan wrote. And another super important thing is you have to know what you offer, and you have to actually have that be kind of written out, elucidated. So if you just say, I offer coaching, or I offer speaking, or I offer training, and if you've ever been a Fred Pryor or Skill Paths trainer, then it can't be, oh, I can teach anything. No, I mean, I can teach I teach like 80 topics, but I have to pick, like, these are the 3 keynotes I do, or this is the training session I do. And you might think, oh my gosh, I'm losing business because of that. No, you're not, because if you do all of them, then people will look past you and look for, because people aren't looking for a speaker, a trainer, or a coach. They're looking for a solution to a specific problem. So those are kind of the 3 areas I had planned on playing in today, and not just talking about them, but actually giving hard, fast actions that you can begin to take immediately. So as you look at that, anything that you want to add, anything that you want to ask, anything that you want to complain about? So let me just ask on the call, since, you know, Jeff said what he said about, you know, well, come on, Sherry, they still need to have a website. Okay, whatever you think. Do you guys all have a website?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I do have to have one, Sherry, but I agree that, you know, if somebody just don't find it out there, I've got to make, I think people are more, obviously people are more engaged on social media, and that's what LinkedIn is. I need to make better use of mine. I'm real tempted. Right now, mine kind of includes like all of my experience from a career standpoint, and I really want to make it more of just a working mom's coach site. What are your thoughts around that?
Right, because here's the thing, is your goal in social media to get people to know what you already do? No, they already know you. People that know you from that already know you from that, right? So if you have, as you look at social media, if social media is designed to tell people what you currently do versus direct people to what you want to be doing, right? So the very, very, very first thing that let me ask everybody to do is go on every social media platform you have and post, and you should do this probably every couple of months. Post, hey, people often wonder what I do. I want you to know that I probably do something that your organization invests in every once in a while. Do you work at a place that brings in a speaker or a trainer? Does your organization ever send people to a training program? Do you ever do online webinars? Do you ever, like, whatever it is that you do, just post it on social media, just on your regular Facebook page. That just kind of asks, you know, does your organization do this? Do you ever need this? Well, guess what? That's what I do. And I would love for you to introduce me to the right person that I might be, like Robin White does that. And every time she does that, she gets a couple of leads from it. Don't assume people know what you do, and don't assume that they know that what you do might be something they could refer you for. So do that first. Enough. Has anyone here done that? And have you had any results from it?
Actually, Sherry, the client that I mentioned to you last night, I knew her before, but one of the posts that I made like that, she was like, please sign me up. So that's how I got that.
And you don't get immediate results sometimes, but like months later, somebody will private message you and say, hey, you know, I get the weirdest out of nowhere stuff, and I know it's because I post that stuff. Jeff, go ahead.
I get re-engagement more often than new engagement, but from Facebook. From LinkedIn, I get new engagement all the time. And I get new clients from both. But I also have a question about LinkedIn that I wanted to throw out when we're done answering this piece.
Go for it. Go for it.
All right. Well, what do you think about the way people do? I go to too many times. I'll go to a LinkedIn page and it's somebody rambling about who they are, and their resume is already down the bottom of the page. There's not a quick bio. There's not a summary, and it's hard for me to figure out how to work with somebody when all they're doing is telling me a bunch of fluff that may or may not be something that attracts clients.
Well, and I think the big thing, because when you participate in groups or anything, the thing that always shows up is that one line that's right under your name. That should not say your position. So like mine says, build a coaching, training, or speaking business with a veteran corporate trainer, global speaker, and master coach. It's a call to action. Jeff, what does yours say?
Mine says business speaking Sherpa or something like that. Yeah, I think in the title, I love the, yeah, mine
Helping
says,
subject matter experts use speaking to grow their businesses since 2006.
and every couple of months I change that. But then the bio, but then I actually have a bio below in the other section. And
yeah,
so if you're going to set up a LinkedIn, do a real bio and also fill in your contact info. It's nothing more frustrating than saying, oh, I want to reach out, and I know people don't check LinkedIn regularly enough, and click on contact info and there's no email address, phone number.
So one more example of that tagline I just wrote with Gunner. I customize programs that are ergonomically based for your lifestyle, speaker, trainer, and coach on John Maxwell team. So we tried to just fit that. And then when you click contact info, like I'm not sure that his is going to be good. So what Jeff is talking about is when people click, like, here's something that just happened recently, is I took two people, I'm shaking, as you guys see me. I just introduced two people, and instead of giving each other their contact information, am I shaking on the thing for yours? Oh, anyway. Okay. Instead of me typing in the email, it was so handy. Instead of me having to type in the email, here's Tracy's phone number, here's Tracy's email address, here's, like, you know what I did? I just gave I put the links to both of their LinkedIn profiles in the email. It was so easy because their LinkedIn profile contact info was filled in. So now they get to know each other's websites. They get to read a little bit about each other, so they don't spend the whole phone call to ask them, what do you do? They can read it on their LinkedIn profile. They know each other's phone numbers. They know each other's contact info, and they can follow each other on LinkedIn with one. How much better of an introduction is that than me typing all that stuff into an email? How much easier is it for me to have introduced them? Although my email address is, I think, is listed as the now that I'm looking, not the Sherry@sherryprindle.com address. So this was good to take a look at. So then what he's talking about is the bio underneath. So notice the bio, the about information, is not my resume. My resume is further on down. So there should be a bio in there that talks about you and what you do and what your passion is and who you help and what problem you solve.
Third person, just like for your one sheet.
No.
Yeah.
First person's kind of a thing. I mean, first person can work.
Yours is third person.
I know.
It's both.
I know,
both,
but I've been
actually.
beat up by coaches telling me I should make it first person.
Oh,
Who's the one that said no on the third person thing?
I think one sheet though is definitely third person.
Peggy.
Peggy, you like the first person?
Yeah, I teach LinkedIn, and the about section should be first person. And I definitely agree about the contact information. People say, well, I don't want to get spammed, or, if they put their email or if their phone number, well, I don't want a bunch of people calling me. That's not going to happen. Not really. You need to have full contact information if you're interested in somebody getting in touch with you.
Good. Another thing that I think is super, super important is having a banner on LinkedIn. So this is so easy to do. Those of you who don't have a custom banner, all you have to do, and there's probably a better place to look at it, but I just go LinkedIn banner size. So then it tells me it needs to be what size it needs to be, right? So then you can go in and you can use something like Canva, which is listed there. I know this is the goofiest thing in the whole wide world, but everything I create in terms of graphics, I do this goofy thing. I just do it in PowerPoint. So because I'm a trainer, people use the tool they're the most comfortable with, right? So I just go in PowerPoint and I insert a picture, and then I go in and I grab some word art. And then, so I don't know, I grab a picture and then I grab some word art. And I'm just doing it like not the way I really would do it, but I'm just saying I do the picture and the word art, and I do in a background picture, right? So it's a headshot, a background picture, and some word art, and I like clip it all together, and then you group it. Just right click group or select all of it and then group it and then save as picture. And then after I've saved it as a picture, then I open it in like Paint, which lets me size it to the exact dimensions that I'm just saying. And those of you who are laughing at me right now, I preface this by saying there are hundreds of graduates of mine out there that don't have a banner on LinkedIn because they don't know, they don't want to go to Fiverr and hire somebody to do it for $5. They don't want to go get Canva, or they don't understand it, but they probably could do this. So I'm trying to show, like, take away any excuse like, oh, I don't have the right tools. Well, do you have PowerPoint, 2 pictures and some word art? Well, then do that, you know? So just that's my goal in this, is whatever it is that you're telling yourself you need first before you can do it. I'm trying to say, no, you don't need it. I first said you don't need a web page. Now I said you don't need Canva or Fiverr. You just need, a couple of simple things.
So we should call this the No Excuses Mastermind.
Right? Because I just remember me. I've been the worst. And Jeff Klein, you and I have talked each other through just whatever we had to do to make it happen several times, right? So as we look at what we've just said, is just have a great LinkedIn profile. Make sure that you've got your a really good content-rich profile, that you have that action tagline, that really good about section, that your full contact information is in there. Make sure you actually have a banner that's not the stars that are already just automatically there. And then a big thing is keywords. So a lot of people are like, I don't understand keywords. Keywords is if someone were to search for what you do, what words might they use to search for what you do, and make sure in your bio and in your resume and in all those sections that you put those phrases. So if you want to basically say, professional speaker, professional trainer, executive coach, make sure you say those phrases as often as you can in all your, you have a huge amount of words to use for your bio. Make sure you're just putting those in multiple times. And then as we talk about, make sure that you put those in posts and as well. So I see some more people have joined us, and I know, Peggy, you specialize in teaching LinkedIn. Do you have anything else that you want to throw in before I talk about post groups and ProFinder?
Yeah, something new with LinkedIn, fairly new, is it used to be able to do only 2,000 characters in that about summary section. They've increased that now to 2,600, and that's quite a significant upgrade. The other thing that you can do in your headline is that you can go on your mobile device and you can get more characters on your mobile device than you can by entering it on a desktop or laptop or whatever.
Ooh, that's sneaky. I like that.
Yeah, you can't do it on a desk computer, but you can definitely do it through your mobile LinkedIn.
So interaction on LinkedIn. Jeff, when you asked me what I thought about something on LinkedIn, I thought you were going to ask me what I thought about when someone friends you, that you send them the little message back that says, oh, here's what I do, come watch my free webinar. So there was a time 10 years ago, maybe it was more, but I think it was still okay 10 years ago, that as long as you were offering some valuable content for free, then it was okay to go straight into, here, come watch my free webinar, because there was really not as much content out there, and we were all hungry for good content. Maybe it was 15 years ago. But now, because everyone's got good content, I mean, if you don't have really good, like something free that when people go to your website or they watch your YouTube, you don't have some really good free article or checklist or like video that you can send people to, make that. And I can help you make that if you need help. But everyone's got really good content now. So just because they friend you, to follow you, doesn't mean you want to instantly, in my opinion, send them, here's my big free webinar. Unless when they connected with you, they actually sent a message that said, hey, Jeff, I see that you help speakers get booked. I'm interested in that, right?
Yeah, every request I get gets a little short, 2 short paragraphs. Here's what I do and how can I help you? And if you want to visit, let's visit. But none of it's a plug.
I just remember when LinkedIn used to be so good about protecting you from people that didn't know you trying to prey on you, and they don't protect you anymore.
Now they pay for that.
Doing that. Yeah, they couldn't make money doing that, so I get it. So the thing that I recommend on LinkedIn, and let me hear what some of the other people say, is, and I'm saying that you need that LinkedIn, if you have nothing else, have LinkedIn. Put posts on LinkedIn, like almost like blog posts, or just posting just updates. Those actually get such leverage. If you ask a question on LinkedIn, like, hey, I've just been chosen to speak at such and such, and I have 2 titles. Can you tell me which one you think is better? Like any goofy things like that, where you solicit feedback or you ask people what they think, that gets really good responses on LinkedIn. People kind of like engaging, or like you tell people, like you have a little survey that you want people to take, or just works really, really well on LinkedIn. If you let people know that you're doing events on LinkedIn and you tag people that are going to be at the event, that kind of stuff works incredibly well. So do posts on LinkedIn. You have actually 2 choices. You can do posts and you can do articles. I recommend doing both. And that it's weird, but I recommend, even if you have a blog, still do it on LinkedIn, with a link to your blog in the article or in the post. Anybody want to say anything else about that before we talk about kudos, recommendations, groups, and Profinder?
Sherry, back to your posting a question on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So one of the most consistent things I have going right now is this TV appearance that I do on our local Fox affiliate. And they'll send me a link. Just last time they posted it on their Facebook. And I'm just thinking, if I post my video, my TV appearance on LinkedIn, what types of questions could I ask the audience to get them engaged and to kind of drive, customers to want to engage with me?
So one of them is just what you'd like to see, on the program. One of them would be, do you do programs like this, and what would it take to get you to do so? Another one would be, who else is out there doing a podcast, radio show, or a TV show, posting what you're doing? Anybody else want to add?
Sarah, can you say that second one again? I'm sorry, it's cut out. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I think when you are. Yeah, so go ahead and mute yourself.
Okay.
So the 3 that I recommended were, what kind of content would you like to see on my show? The second one was, do you engage in shows like this, local programming like this? And if so, why? And if not, what would it take to get you, interested in doing these kinds of things? Or, do you think these kinds of things are obsolete? What's the value in these things? It's an interesting kind of community discussion. And then thirdly, do you have anything like this that you do? Go ahead and post what you do. Or, hey, if I were to interview you, like maybe not offer if I were to interview you on the show, what would you talk about? Man, that would get huge engagement. Anybody else have anything you want to throw in?
I have a guy who offered me 5 minutes on his podcast, and I signed up for it.
Yeah, I mean, on LinkedIn, I had a radio show, and when I put out just a thing where I was looking for people to interview, it was just on there's a really active group of speakers, maybe e-speakers or one of the big speaker groups. I literally got 80 some people tell me that they would like to be interviewed on my radio show, and they sent me their bios, and and let me just tell you, not only did that help me schedule my radio show, which I was having trouble with up until then, but it really helped me see who all's out there, and let me look at their web pages and their one sheets and all the things, to get a sense of what people are doing and who, what's making them successful. I don't do this next one, but I know a lot of people who do with good success, or I don't know, maybe you should speak to it if you do it. But LinkedIn tells you when it's somebody's birthday, when it's their anniversary, when they first started their job. They tell you all these different life milestones of these of people that you follow on LinkedIn. which it's weird to me when people congratulate me on my anniversary because I don't actually work at a company like I am my company. So it seems weird, but I would assume that if I actually worked at a company and I did have a work anniversary or I got a promotion or something, that it probably would be interesting. I actually appreciate when I see somebody do it, I actually appreciate, wow, that's a busy person that took the time to do it. And maybe they didn't, maybe they have a little automated way of doing it, like if this, then that. But does anybody do that kind of thing where you wish people happy birthday? Especially, I know people wish happy birthday on Facebook. I think the kudos and recommendations feature on LinkedIn is a little more important than that. I don't know, but anybody have anything you want to say about kudos and recommendations?
I've avoided doing the bird. I don't say happy birthday to everybody on Facebook, just the people who I actually know, because I've got 5,000 contacts and they're not all friends. But I don't do it on LinkedIn, and I discovered with the work anniversary thing, with people pinging me for work anniversary, congratulations on your work anniversary, it means nothing, because I tried 3 years ago, I started replying to them, and 90% of them ignored my replies. And then the next year, I replied again. I said, well, it's the second year you're congratulating me and you didn't reply. How about let's connect? Let's not just click, let's actually connect. And then the third year, and then the fourth year, I mean, literally there are people who, because you scroll up and they've congratulated me for 5 years in a row. They've ignored 3 different replies. And I actually disconnected with those people because they're not on LinkedIn to connect. They didn't reply to 3 times. They didn't reply.
Any other opinions on the whole, do you offer people kudos, or when you get kudos, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, this is Peggy. I do on all work anniversaries, specifically promotions, job promotions. I had a situation with a gal recently that got promoted to vice president of the company of a region, and she knows my background in training, and we had an opportunity to share back and forth a couple of times there, that she would like to talk to me when the dust settles on their new job. So I think it's important because you're reaching out, you're touching them.
That makes total sense, Peggy, and I'm fully on board.
Right.
Because you were actually connecting with people.
Yeah.
What I got cynical about was all the people who were only clicking.
Yeah.
And to not even reply to a message.
Yeah, well, sometimes I get that, I don't get anything back, but it seems as though of recent I'm getting just, a thank you, and I haven't always gotten that. So
yeah, any kind of acknowledgement is good. But like I said,
That's
4
true.
and 5 years in a row of people not replying.
Yeah. Well, the thing though, you also have to remember is that not everybody is on LinkedIn all the time. I'm on LinkedIn day in and day out.
Oh, sure. No, I recognize that. But like I said, I'm looking at 5 years of messages where I replied 2 or 3. No. It's just what it's done is it's soured me on the whole congratulations thing.
Right.
So the next little category is groups, and I really think that we could leverage our groups better. I think that the key, I think it's easy to get on groups that are us, but get in groups that are your target audience. So Kathy, get into some women's groups. Robbie, get into some parent groups. Jeff, you're in speaker groups. Yay, your people are our people. Same thing with me. But Valari, get in some groups with, I think you've been working with daycares and things like that lately. So the LaShania, get on tech groups or whoever you're working with lately, and just participate in those groups. I used to have 3 or 4 groups that I was really actively participating in, and I did find if I posted a really good post, like someone posted a question and I gave a really good answer, I literally could see that sorry, someone walks in the room and I'm like trying to ignore them, but it's hard to, that I got more people following me, like that were from that group. And I have recruited quite a few people from groups to take certification classes and go to my Star Marketing Summits. So does anybody have anything that you want to talk about with regard to actively participating in groups?
Yeah, one of the things that you can do with groups is that you automatically are second connection to anyone who is on that group, where you might not be if you are not in the group. And say Joe Bob, you know, my favorite person I like to talk about, Joe Bob, might not be in that group, and you might not be able to connect with him because he's a third connection or something. But with groups, you're a second connection to everybody in that group.
And it's easy to then say, we are both in the blank blank group.
Right.
I'd like to connect. It already looks better.
And you can be a member of up to 100 groups.
I requested for years for them to increase the number of groups you could be a part of. So I was so glad when they did that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, whoever just spoke.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, Sherry. This is Patricia. How are you?
All right.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the group thing. I was listening to you about the LinkedIn. I'm not good on social media, period, to be honest. I post and then I get off. I don't really go around on other people's pages or anything like that. But what I do know is that in groups, I go in a lot of recovery groups, which is my thing, substance abuse and mental health. So I have been invited to organizations through other people that are in those groups who have gotten vital information from me being certified as a peer specialist and different things like that, and given quite a bit of information. So I have gotten where they've taken my bio to the organization's president or who's ever over group activities of the organizations, and they actually have gotten me invited to their recovery homes, their different facilities where they are living at, because there are people that are actually actively living or in recovery homes. I've gotten invited to South Carolina to speak at an event from a women's recovery home, and as well as in Florida and North Carolina. So I do know that in those groups it does work. However, it may not even be the person that's in the group, but the person in the group can recommend you to the organization where they're at, or where they came from, or where they actively work at.
And I think, thank you, that's really helpful. That's exactly what I was looking for. So I do think, though, something we haven't mentioned about LinkedIn that I believe is super, super important is using LinkedIn to find local businesses and people that you want to physically go and visit and network with and make phone calls to and that kind of thing. So staying in the cyber world is somewhat hiding. If you're a speaker or a coach and you need to actually interact with live bodies, then go. One of my favorite things to use LinkedIn for is you can actually go into your network and you can message based on these filters, and you can filter and say like the Kansas City metropolitan area. And when I'm doing a marketing summit, so I've got Las Vegas coming up, so I'm going in now, and literally what I do is I go in and I filter by the people that live in the Las Vegas metropolitan area, and I send everybody a message that says, hey, I'm going to be in Las Vegas doing this event for speakers, trainers, and coaches. You may want to present, you may want to attend, or you might know somebody who would benefit from attending. If nothing else, hey, I'd love to just say hi and meet you while I'm in town. So, you know, LinkedIn, I'm really careful that, like, I'm not selling you anything. Like, I literally sent that message to one gal. Like, the last one I did was in Dallas. I probably sent out 400 of them to people in the Dallas area. And one gal comes back and says, do not try to sell me anything on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I have some kind of a clause or something like that. Like it was just an automatic kind of a message. And I came back and I said, oh, it's too bad that you didn't actually see I wasn't trying to sell you anything. I was offering you an opportunity potentially to speak or at least to network. Good luck. So it's funny that people, anything that there are going to be certain people that are suspicious, and anything that you do, like I offered, hey, you might want to speak. And I offered, hey, while I'm in town, I'd love to meet with you. I offered you might want to attend my over the top expensive $150 event. If if that doesn't hurt your feelings. So people, there are always going to be those people, but most people, they gave me really positive responses. They refer people, ooh, I know somebody, or hey, our local NSA president is this person. And like literally anytime I'm doing an event in a city, I start there. And anytime I look at my calendar, and it's got to be at least 6 months out. But if I'm looking at 6 months out and I'm thinking, ooh, I've got a week free in August, I'd love to do some local speaking gigs. Then I go in and I search businesses in Kansas City. I look at HR people in Kansas City. I check to see who am I already connected with, who works at some of these organizations, or that I know is connected with the person that I want to talk to. Use LinkedIn as a way to actually make real connections in person. LaShanya, you probably have done things like that in the past. Does anybody want to speak to using LinkedIn as a way to actually meet real people and talk to them?
It's easy. I've actually been doing a lot of webinars with people from LinkedIn, and because I send everybody who contacts me a little thing, and then the ones who want to talk more some of them are prospects, and some of them are just people to add to my network of people who can refer and who I can refer to. So I'll actually send, like, for example, this week is the Speaker Co-op monthly lunch. So every so often I'll go in and I'll spend an hour doing that, what you were talking about, but I'll type in speaker and second connection in DFW. And then as I see, I have I'm writing to connect and invite you to learn about how to promote yourself with video, because that's our keynote. That's our keynote this month. And I get tons of new connections. I don't get tons of attendance at the meeting, but I'm getting the connections. I've added something like 1,500 connections in the last year, just by doing. And then I'll reach out to associations, and I'll use that as my keyword, and I'm seeking speaking engagements. And I did the same thing with authors and things like that. So you have to look at the profile. You can't. It's not gonna because it's a keyword. It just means the word author profile. Doesn't mean they are an author or a speaker.
Yeah, I mean, this takes a little time, but boy, it's at least like a good place to start.
And I've been doing just, I call it analog, because I just sit and cut and paste while I'm watching TV.
Right. This is something I've delegated to people before, just like.
I'm not using the sophisticated tools that that let me send it to 100 people at one time. I'm just sending them, and it's just a cut and paste. And I cut and paste one message for people in town and a different message for people out of town.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing I have listed on here is ProFinder. I don't know if any of you had any luck on it, but if you actually go up under work, then ProFinder is one of the things. And when you click on ProFinder, you basically need to make sure that you did the thing that we first said to do, which was beef up your profile with all the right keywords that make it clear what you do. Because when you say, I want to sign up to be a pro, then LinkedIn actually looks at your profile. It takes about 48 hours, and LinkedIn looks at your profile and sees if you seem to be qualified to be that pro. And then once you are that pro, it is crazy that LinkedIn sends you all kinds of potential clients. Now, it sounds awesome, but let me tell you, it is hard to convert any of these. So like I'm looking, this is like how many, in the last 24 hours, I've gotten this many recommendations. Look at that. I mean, like, look just in the Kansas City area, look at how many referrals I've gotten. So then what you do is you send a proposal, and you can see how many people have sent proposals. It is so rare that your proposal gets accepted, but that's actually where we're going to move into some of your collateral materials and some of the things that you can do to get proposals accepted. But I still think it's worthwhile going on Gig Salad, going on Thumbtack, and getting on LinkedIn ProFinder. At least you see who's out there and what's going on and what they're doing. And I don't believe that you're going to get your business, the majority of your business, without talking to real people. But at the
Sherry,
very
have you
least, do
gotten,
this.
sorry, have you gotten anybody to accept a proposal? Because I am on there, but I haven't really sent any, I've probably sent only a few proposals out. Have you gotten any to bite?
Yeah, I've had two. The ones that are happy to bite are the ones where they want you to help them they want you to help them do their resume, and they want you to help them do the interview. Those people tend to be more in pain than any of the others. So
Yeah.
they're really in a hurry and urgently want some help. And when I offered a really good sample of it, and kind of I have a before and after resume sample, and a proposal, and I tried a couple of different price points. And when I came in, because I did it more for experimentation, so I get easily hired if I come in at a really low price point, like $50 to revamp their resume and have a quick conversation with them. But I don't really want that kind of work.
Right.
But I'm just saying, if you're if you're not making any money at all, $50 getting 3 people a day or something, doing $50 a piece for a quick resume rewrite and perusal might be worth it for you.
Yeah.
But I'm actually working on it. One of my recent graduates of my Coach Academy and I are actually working on getting like just the right executive coaching proposal together. So when we perfect that, then I'll have another webinar telling you how to do that. Anybody else have any luck with LinkedIn ProFinder? Now, I've gotten a speaking gig from LinkedIn ProFinder too, but it was a no fee speaking gig. But it was a really good one for I met a lot of people that I will be able to get paid speaking gigs. So LaShanya and Bilari, I'm thinking you've unmuted yourselves, so that might mean you have something you want to throw in with us. Oh, they just muted themselves back instead of. All right. I like Gig Salad. At least get on Gig Salad. They send you some speaking proposals every once in a while. Gig Masters is more for, to me, magicians and party entertainment, comedians, that kind of thing. But Gig Salad, I get probably 3 speaking gigs a year that I'm accepted and I go out and do off of Gig Salad. GIGSALAD. So with that, in order to be successful in those areas, then you probably need some collateral materials. I'm going to go into that. You absolutely need a good sounding offering, and you need to be sending out little pink spoons, which is the Baskin-Robbins example that I like to use, that says, think about it, anytime people give you money, it's because there's something about you that they think they need, and what you've given them a taste of you. You've given them a taste of what it would be like to work with you. You've given them a taste. So that's what I'm doing now. Like, I happily do webinars like this all the time. I do the marketing summit at a very low price. I'm always, why? Because when I put lots of little pink spoons of myself out there, everyone's like, man, Sherry is really helpful. I love working with Sherry. The minute that they have a need or they meet somebody that has a need, I get so many referrals. Oh, you should talk to Sherry. Why? Because I put myself out there a bunch and people see value in all the free stuff I'm putting out there. So the minute they see an opportunity, it creates this reciprocity. It creates them wanting to send me something that makes me money, and it creates me being top of mind. And people think somehow, like it used to be that you could send out a newsletter and it would be a sufficient pink spoon. It used to be that you could do really awesome social media posts and it would be a sufficient pink spoon. I think now there's so much material out there, you really have to post a really fascinating article like the one I sent in the email by Kevin Hogan, or you really need to post a really good video that really pucks people through an issue they have, or you really need to do a live thing like what I'm doing here, usually, to really make the pink spoon stand out and have that, or do an event or something like that. Once you get people in your network and people look at you, they see, ooh, this is something from Sherry. And there are people that at the minute I send an email, they always open it. I mean, when you get that, Jeff, you've got that too. That's really nice. So I want to go into the offering, the collateral materials, the pink spoons, but I want to check in with everybody first. what do you have that you want to throw in before we move on?
I think this is great stuff, Sherry. I'm going to be going in a few minutes for a 12:30 lunch, but I think we got to keep doing stuff like this to support each other.
So I have a recording of a webinar I did in the past that is that offer piece that's on my mind map, but no matter what, it's just so funny when I get on conference calls, thank you, Jeff, by the way, with my graduates and they need help. The biggest thing I always ask them, I say, okay, what is your offering? Like, what do people sign up for? What are they paying for? You know, how much does it cost? How much of a time commitment does it take? What exactly, concretely, tangibly do you offer? And they can't tell me, and you can't do that anymore. You've really got to have a tangible offering. So I do have a recording of that webinar that I will post with the recording of this one, because it's funny, I find that whenever I teach these webinars, I end up going through the same thing because it's still the same thing that people need. So before I go, you know, into like today's version of that, or a more abbreviated version of that, since I am going to send the replay of it before, does anybody else besides Jeff have something you want to check in and say? So I'm curious, I don't know, maybe she'll say no. So tell me if you don't want me to go to Acres. Shani, if you're still there and you don't want me to go to Ackerson Consulting, tell me now. So LaShanya is one of the most impressive women I know. She's got a very, very successful training business, and this very professional website is what she's got. So she's got 4 things that she offers: leadership training, executive coaching, meeting facilitation, professional speaking. And then when you go in and you see really good video and things like that, and then I was gonna see if she's got real specific. I don't see like real specific. Maybe I'm going to the wrong place, because I was thinking with her that we would get like a real specific list of, maybe if I clicked on those. So let me just see anybody else out there, because she beats the pavement and talks to people. So she's not relying on her website to be the way to get clients, which might be why it's not like, this is exactly what I do. Let's see, capability. So does anybody out there feel like you've got a specific offering that you're like, okay, this is how much it costs, this is how long it takes, this is what you get?
I mean, Sherry, I offered, 3-month and 6-month coaching packages right now for working moms.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Robbie, you do. Like, every time she messages me, she's like, what do I want to offer? And we always put it in as a real concrete thing: this many sessions, these topics, this result. I think Amanda Kaufman, who was at the most recent marketing summit, if you go to her website, she's got real specific things that she offers. Like today, she sends out an email every day, which usually annoys me. I don't mean annoys me, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to look at your email every day, but her mails are very quick, and they always address a really specific thing that I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this: how to sell to non-coaches. People often ask, is it even possible to sell to non-coaches? And then she goes in and says, yeah, I actually wanted to prove it to myself that I could. And then she goes on to point out that non-coaches are probably easier to sell than coaches. And it's just like, you're reading this thing and you're like, how did you get into the heads of so many coaches, right? And then she goes in and look at this. Imagine instead of coach, she is, or this great analogy. And she takes you through this whole process. She gives you this great content. And then she says, you know, why not schedule either a 10-minute quick call or go to the Coach's Biz Builder? I mean, it's just a really concrete offering. And even that call, because a lot of us will say, well, I do a strategy call. Yeah, she does 10-minute quick call, and she tells you exactly what the call is going to be about. Because even a 10-minute quick call. So, so she's a good one if you want to look at a great example of a specific offer. She does a really, really good job. And she's like, in 2 years, she's exploded from someone no one had heard of into like a contender in the overall coaching, you know, coaching and coach training business. So how do you get to that? Well, the idea is that you have to basically answer these questions. What specifically do you offer? And don't say coaching, speaking, or training. You don't offer coaching, speaking, or training. What do you offer?
Solutions. Solutions to problems.
Right? So solutions to problems. You offer results and outcomes, right?
Expertise.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we're getting into, I'm with you on the first thing, solutions to problems. You're offering them results, outcomes, that kind of thing. Why do you offer it? Don't say to make money, and don't say to help people. Why do you offer it?
A great question. So the world can be a better place.
Okay.
That people can accomplish everything they're capable of.
So this kind of comes into your why. Does that make sense? So whatever your why is, thank you, LaShanya. Thank you, Kristen, for people kind of telling me that you had to go. They're probably already gone, and I'm thinking. So this is where certainly you want to help people. Certainly you want to make money. That's a given. Every bit of time that we waste telling people that I want to help people or I want to make money is kind of wasted, because everybody, that's a given, right? So your why, maybe you want to help the world, but why do you want to help the world, and in what way do you want to help the world? So for example, for years I thought, I don't have a why. Everyone says you have to have a why, like major reason why you do what you do, and I don't have one. Because for a lot of people, it's their kids, right? Oh, my family. Well, that's great. I don't have a family. And so I was like, I don't have a why. And then I realized, oh my gosh, every time you talk to me, everything I do is because I truly feel that everyone should be able to do what they love and make money doing it. I think it's insane that we all have gifts and talents that we can change the world with, and that we can only do that on our spare time, because we got to do some silly thing over here that is like some manufacturing thing, some goofy thing that our society has decided is worthy of earning money doing, that has nothing to do with what you care about. Like, you have to spend most of your time doing that, and in the little bits of time that you're not exhausted doing that, you could maybe do the thing that you were made to do that's going to change the world. No, you should be able to make money doing that. And so, wow, am I passionate about that? Ooh, maybe that's my why. So if you don't know what your why is, or you're like me and you're like, I don't have one of those whys, you do. But it doesn't sound like everybody else's why. But it's weird when you bring your why into it. There's a lot of passion there, and it's very compelling. It's a part of that vulnerability thing that Brene Brown says when you really share what your why is. So
my why, Sherry, is to give working moms more.
Okay, and you got that MORE acronym, right?
That's right. I'm trying to practice that every chance I get.
Yeah. So what she's got is, her why is to give working moms more. So that's already, do you agree that's a little bit compelling? Because you're like, what do you mean give working moms more, right? Like, ooh, what, I want to know, what are you talking about? Well, then MORE is this acronym for what she offers.
And Sherry, my why is when I go into and when I teach etiquette and character building classes to men and women that have been incarcerated and at-risk youth, my why is to really transform lives, by encouraging them, equipping them, and empowering them to be all that God has created them to be.
So let's do something with those E's.
Okay? Empower, encourage, and equip.
Right?
Go ahead. I'm
So
listening.
you brought into there this whole idea of transform and this whole thing of what God meant them to be. So,
Right. My why is to really have them thinking that, you know, they made mistakes. Yes, they were incarcerated. They made some horrible decisions, and that decision does not define who they are in life.
okay. So I'm thinking maybe 3 words that have E's in the middle of them, like define, create, and then those 3 E's. So, you know, like you could make a cross thing, like define, and then the E in define comes down with empower or encourage. You know what I mean? Like something to where you've got, and you don't have to do that. I'm just playing with the acronym because that's what Robbie has, is the MORE acronym. But I felt a little pain in the whole, your little decisions that you made. You know, you don't have to define yourself by those or by what other people think or by, you know, things like that.
Right.
So the whole transform is going to really appeal more to like people like us, your peers who are into changing lives. The whole God meant you to be is going to definitely appeal to people for whom that is a really important thing that they like to plug into. And then the whole you're not defined by decisions that you make is going to appeal to people who feel marginalized or feel like there's no, you know, that they're in a, they've kind of pigeonholed themselves or been pigeonholed.
Right.
So from there, I would kind of narrow in, and like if you're doing the incarcerated people, I think that decision, that your past thing is a really, really big one. Whereas if you're doing faith-based groups, then the God's purpose thing is really going to work really nicely.
Mm-hmm. So that's my why.
Yeah. So you could still use those 3 words, but have like the different context depending on who your target audience is.
Absolutely. I like that.
Anybody else have something you want to throw in on the why piece? So who's your
Sherry,
yes, please.
my why would be, this is Patricia again. My why would be because I know how it feels to be stuck and not to utilize your gift and talent. Coming from the substance abuse side as well as the mental health side, and knowing what I know now, and the years of and learning, and I would say pretty much with all of the training I've received for St. Louis has a really bad opioid addiction right now, and for me that is really where most of my um, training and finances are being made at right now, because the mental health and substance use disorder is so big here. I'm constantly in Jeff City, even if I'm just an icebreaker. Like you said earlier, I think I heard you say, you know, if you're not making any money, at least that's some money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I go to Jeff City and just get my needs met, my basic needs, which is a hotel room, lunch, breakfast, and travel expenses, and maybe a check for $500. At least I've done something, because I'm always looking for a way to leave my business card to come back to do something else. And so if I don't get anything else, I do get a new door open, even with the prison system with Vandalia and Chillicothe with the women's prison. I've been going up there for the last 12 years. My problem is, and I just heard the young lady say with the ministry, with me being in ministry so long prior to me becoming a life coach, a lot of people try to hide under that umbrella, and I really want to separate it, but sometimes I find myself giving my services and giving myself, because that's my nature, that's who I am, for free, and with no recognition or maybe not even a mention of my name. Once they get the services that they need or the information or the ideas, they may not never tell anybody that I was the one that helped them because of, being that one-stop shop, which is the church, versus who I am, a person that loves to help anybody, period. So I get kind of stuck. And I hope somebody can help me out because I don't know how to say no sometimes. And I find myself giving more information than what was asked, or I find myself being tricked into being a coach instead of a minister.
Yeah.
And not paid for my talents. And I've thank God I found you to certify me. Then I paid, into Lisa Nichols programs. I've paid into John Maxwell programs. And at this point, I'm really looking to reap some of my finance funds back. And the only ones I'm really finding the money to come back is from the organizations. That's why I had spoke with you about executive coaching, because I see that more organizations, because the opioid epidemic is so big in Houston and Missouri and nationwide, that is where I am basically being utilized at the most. So that it start off to be my passion, it has become my financial blessing. I guess I could say it that way.
So here's the thing that I want to make sure. And first of all, I think Valari and Patricia, I need to connect the two of you. And then secondly, here's the thing I want everybody that's thinking about giving your stuff away to think about. Nobody that gives their stuff away gives their stuff away. The people that give their stuff away do it because a third party pays for it. So if you work for a church pays you a salary, and then people get it for free, but the church pays for it. I'm not saying in your case. I want to invite you to change your mindset. So any service out there that anybody gets for free, they don't get for free. Every service that's out there, somebody has to pay for. If they either pay you or somebody else pays you. So whenever you have something that you're like, I want to be able to offer this, I want to offer it to somebody who can't pay, then the next question should be, who can I get? Who can I go find that might pay, right? So you might be able to ask charity organizations. You might be able to ask government organizations. You might be able to ask faith-based organizations. You might be able to do crowdfunding. You might be able to ask people, like when you do an event, to ask some people, hey, who would be willing to pay a scholarship for somebody else to be able to do this event? But I want you to look at it like nobody gets help for free. Nobody gets help for free. If you're getting help for free, then you're going to end up to be one of those people that needs help, right? So somebody pays for it. If the person that you're helping can't pay for it, then who is paying for it? And I think the opioid crisis is a great area. Those of you who have any kind of background in addiction counseling, et cetera, right now, I keep reading articles because I have my Google alerts. Do you know what I'm talking about? Google.com/alerts. And you can tell that when certain phrases come up in Google, then they email you and tell you about it. So I have phrases like life coaching and coaching, like I have some of those phrases. And more and more and more states are doing a thing now where with the opioid crisis, the problem is people get addicted and then they don't have the money to pay for their addiction. So then they start selling or turning to crime in order to make money for their addiction, but they're otherwise law-abiding citizens. So then they get to where now they get arrested for doing something illegal, and it's dumb because now we've just turned someone who wasn't a criminal element into a criminal element, and now we're having to pay for them to be incarcerated, and the whole thing's just dumb, right? It's not working. So these states are realizing, man, we could really, really everybody would benefit if we would just give these people coaching and what they need to actually stop being addicted rather than put them in jail for doing a crime, right? So these coaching programs are huge. They're coming into themselves. So do some research on that, on those keywords. Read some of those articles and find out, like dig deeper. And then when you read the article, then find out where, like go to the websites of these agencies and make calls and figure out where is the funding coming from for these coaching programs, and what's Missouri doing, and what could Missouri be doing, and who would I talk to in Missouri to see if we're doing a program like this. And it's weird, but timing is everything. If you can get on the ground floor of something, like I have a big training thing I told some people about, where right when California really beefed up its requirement for sexual harassment training, to where everybody has to have sexual harassment training every year. I got one of my friends who lives in California, who's a salesperson. I got her to work up a sales thing, and she started making calls to companies. Hey, you're going to need the sexual harassment training. We do it. What do you want us to do? We got a ton of work doing that. Why? Because we took advantage of the timing. So this is good timing for the opioid crisis. So the next question is your target audience. So whom do you offer it to the most? And even if you offer it to everybody, pick one particular audience that you offer it to the most and ask yourself, where do those people hang out? Do they hang out on LinkedIn? Do they go to networking events? Do they read blogs? Do they listen to podcasts? There's going to be at least one place you can find. Are they in a certain Facebook group that you can find them? And you may, sometimes the way to find them is to just post on social media, hey, does anybody know anybody who does such and such? It's not that hard to kind of find somebody who knows somebody who does such and such. And, you know, it's like, I like craft beers, so I go to a craft brewery. Like, I look and I go, craft breweries nearby, and sometimes there's 20. And I'm like, okay, I can't do 20. I can't go to like a bunch of them to figure out which one to go to. So I pick one and I go to that one and I go, hey guys, which other one should I go to, right? Because they know. Something like that. And then the big thing that I'm kind of known for teaching that I want to just bring up that I won't go into because I'll send you the replay is what they think they need and what they want is usually not what they actually need. But if you try to sell them what they need, so like most people think, oh, well, they need to change their mindset. Yeah, they do, but nobody will pay to change their mindset. What they think they need is more surface level things. So ask yourself, what do they think they need? What do they want? And then what do they really need? And never market to them what they really need, market to them what they think they need. And after they hire you, deliver them what they really need. If you don't know what that means, listen to the replay of that other webinar. So that was just, no matter what, you have to kind of know what your offering is. And I wanted to go through that. And then our last thing we'll do is this master management plan. So someone unmuted, so you've got something to say, go ahead. Anybody want to have something that you want to say? I think Kathy left us. All right. All right. So the big thing that was kind of new today that I've not talked about, that was inspired by that article by Kevin Hogan that I put in the email, was those right actions. So I would like everyone to participate at this point in this piece. So send to new page. So in the end, we want to start out with a goal. And I've got to be honest with you, I've been doing my own business, training, speaking, coaching for 20 years. And I will tell you that probably for the first, and I've been successful at it, and I don't know how, because probably for the first 12 of those 20 years, my goal was just, oh, I don't know, can I pay the bills at the end of every month? Because I grew up in a lower middle class blue collar family where everybody's goal was, oh, I don't know, can I pay the bills at the end of every month? And then whatever money we had left at the end, we would just blow so that we were broke, so that the next month we needed to make enough to pay the bills. I hope you didn't necessarily grow up with that mindset, but that was just, it was all I knew. It was the way things were. So as you look at your why, and you look at the people that you work with, that you want to work with, and you look at the type of work that you want to do and the problem that you solve, as you think about a goal, then your why has to be a part of that. And that includes kind of the who and the what. But you also want to have kind of a how goal, like, lifestyle. Like a time goal. How much time do you want to spend? Like a where kind of a goal. You want to have a financial goal. How much do I need to make to be able to live that lifestyle and work that amount of time and be able to do it in the way that I want to do it? So as we look at goal, like your goal, anybody have anything else you want to add as we kind of brainstorm this whole, how do I get there from here piece?
It's Jacqueline.
Hi.
Hi. So I want to share that in terms of getting here from there, what I've been doing every single day, I've been making a conscious effort to do one thing every single day for my business. And so in doing one thing every day, it's either I get on, for example, today's the mastermind call. Tomorrow I'm having a coffee meeting at 8:45 with someone who is in my area who is putting on a show at the Clay County Regional Events. And the title of the show or summit that she's putting on is, she is Powerful, Powher full. And I almost fell off my chair because Valoria and I were in conversations around developing ideas around women empowerment and language that will, sort of grab the attention and in the messaging. How is it that you would do that? So one thing every single day. So ultimately, to get from here to there, I'm working on networking, working on speaking to like-minded people, working on sharpening my tool, for example, getting on mastermind calls and achieving the goals that I set out to, one thing every day for my business.
Excellent. So I'm going to put that under structure, and the whole idea of discipline and having yourself do a specific thing every day, having specific things you do every week. That's absolutely our ultimate destination. So that's excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So with the why, you have your why that says, I want people to make money making a difference. I want to help working moms get more, right? And then you have, who is your target audience and what is that outcome that you want for them? That ultimately reverberates and becomes an outcome for the world at large. Like I heard Kathy say, I want to improve the world. I want to raise the vibration of the planet. I want to make the world a better place by having been here. Or I heard Patricia say, I went through A, B, and C, and I want to help protect other people. I want to help other people shorten their learning curve or decrease the amount of pain that they might need to go through by being able to to do that for them. And something just hit me, Patricia, since you're in the ministry, like, isn't that the message of Jesus is, let me absorb your pain, right? Let me pay your debt for you. Let me, okay, yes, you got you have an addiction, rather than you punishing yourself and going, oh no, I made really bad decisions and I'm an addict and I'm a bad person and therefore all the bad things that happened to me I deserve. No, let me take your place. I already went through this. I already learned some things. I can save you some pain and suffering. Let me help you get from point A to point W without having to go through all those other points in between. So that's a beautiful thing in terms of like, what is that result that you're looking for? What is that outcome that you're looking for? And that's why.
Sure,
So
that's
here's where the
really
why
good.
comes in.
I'd use that a lot too. Recently, just like in regular conversation with people, when they, when I'm talking about what do you do, and I say my goal is to help moms not to stay stuck in the places that I was stuck in for as long as I was stuck in them.
Perfect. Just think about when we were kids. Like, kids kill me because all the parent wants to do is protect the kid from they want the kid to have a better life than they had. I don't mean that's all, but that's a big thing, right? So the parents, when they tell the kid, don't do drugs, don't stay out late and put yourself in dangerous situations, don't eat unhealthy food, like whatever it is that they're telling their kids to do, the kid's all like, why are you telling me to do this? I need to try it myself. And it's like, why, you goofball? Like, they want you. And so here we are as kids, we don't listen to our parents when they try to protect us. I'm like this weird kid that I listened to all the advice that my parents gave, and I mostly didn't do any of those things that they told me I shouldn't do. Yay. But you know, okay, fine, now we're an adult. We actually ended up going through some of the same stuff ourselves. Oh well, such is the nature of life. But when the coachee is ready, the coach appears, right? So you might absolutely finally be in a place where somebody is ready to stop struggling, or somebody is ready to recognize, oh, if there's a shorter path between A and B, I might be able to get farther along in my path and then help someone else and help someone else. And we might actually be able to alleviate the level of pain and suffering that has to keep repeating generation to generation. Yay! That's a huge why. So as you think about the how, think about your lifestyle. You know, think about how many hours a week you would like to work. Think about what configuration, like those of you who travel, if you don't want to travel, then what would you like to do? Would you like to just work at your computer all the time and create content and do things from here? Would you like to do mostly local stuff? Would you like to travel, but to more tropical, fabulous destinations or overseas, right? So think about the hours you'd like to work. Think about the configuration in terms of that. So think about the where piece of that. And think about, as you hone your craft and keep yourself in the loop, because if you isolate yourself and you're not constantly attracting new information and new people into your life, it's going to be tough. So that other lifestyle piece is, you know, how am I still going to keep myself relevant, keep myself out there? And then your big financial goals. Financial goals are actually super easy. Like it was the silliest thing. I went to a James Malinchak big money speaker seminar, and he's like, okay, so if you wanted to make $1 million, then you could sell one thing that cost $1 million. You could sell two things that cost $500,000. You could sell 100 things that cost $50,000. You could sell 10 things, you know, like he would just went down, and it was so easy, you know, when you thought about it, you know, it came down, you could sell 1 million things that cost $1, right? And when you think about it, that's all it is think about how much money you would like to make, and then break it down into all the different configurations and price points of what it would take to make that money. So then if you decided that, okay, I want to make $100,000, then I could sell, you know, I could sell 100 things that are $10,000. I could sell, I'm sorry, 1,000 things that are $10,000. I could sell 100 things that are $1,000. That sounds easier, right? So then when you look at that, think about the feasibility of that. Like, how many speaking gigs could I reasonably do a month, and how much could I charge for my speaking gigs? And then just create that combination and break it down. If you're not good at math, ask somebody to help you. The math on that isn't hard, but it gets really kind of exciting. So when I did this, I literally did break down, and I thought, okay, so I still like doing Fred Prayer seminars. So if I do like 1 or 2 weeks of Fred Prayer seminars a month, then okay, I'm going to make, you know, $4,000 from Fred Prayer seminars for doing 2 weeks a month. Okay, I'd love to do one of my own speaking gigs. So I could do one of my own speaking gigs for $3,000 a month. There we go. There's 7,000. Okay. So then if I have like 4 coaching clients at $500 a month, there's another $2,000. Ooh, look at that. I'm pretty close to $100,000 just right there. That's all very reasonable. But in order to do that, the Fred Prayer stuff just keeps going. But the speaking gigs, I have to be actively doing the things that we just talked about, finding people to talk to on LinkedIn, going to networking events, putting out the little pink spoons. And if I want to be getting coaching clients, then I have to have a really clear solution that I offer. So really do that financial breakdown. Who here has actually ever done that? Like, you really broke it down, you figured out exactly how much money you would need to make, figured out what types of things you could do to make that money, and how many of each thing you'd have to do to make the money you need to make.
Me. It's Jacqueline.
Uh-huh.
So in terms of deciding the coaching gig, Fred Pryor, and whether or not you want speaking gigs, as a matter of fact, I was on the phone with Robin yesterday, and Robin and I were in a serious conversation about this complete breakdown exactly as you're talking about it. And we talked about, for if you're just doing Fred Pryor, and if you're just looking at what it is that, your base that you're getting and your sales are not good, at the end of the year, you're barely coming out at under $50,000, if that much. That's if Fred Pryor puts you on the roster for 4 weeks straight. Then if you're on the roster for 2 weeks, that's even half of that. So where's the rest of your money coming from? So, it's interesting in terms of when you have that perspective and you need other sources of income streams, and you start figuring out, where am I going with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so number of speaking gigs, number of executive clients. If you are selling products, then how much product do you need to sell? And, if you're doing a Fred Pryor seminar, working in contract training, then you sell their products, but you can sell yours. So like when I did some speaking for Jeff Klein, he books me to speak when I go to Dallas, then I just sell products. There are no fee speaking gigs, but everybody buys my products. It'll be like 40 people there, and I sell them my $200 product. And like 30 of the 40 people, 30 or more of the people, they buy my $20 product. So boom, there it was. I just made $600 to do a 20-minute speech and got a free lunch too, right? And sometimes he'll book me for 2 of those in a day when I'm in Dallas. So what about things that you sell online? Like right now I'm on a book collaboration with Sofia Santiago, who was at the most recent marketing summit. So we're putting together a book compilation. So we're each writing a chapter in the book, and we're all going to market it. And I actually just got my tax form from this company, Made for Success Publishing, that I go through. I've done some audio, and I've co-written some books with Dawn Jones and done some audio programs with her. And I just got my little 1099 from Made for Success on how much money I made in 2019 with my royalties on the publications. Guess what? It was over $7,000. And I didn't even think about that. These were just books and audios that I created whenever, and they just keep selling, right? I haven't created any of those in the last 2 years, and yet I still made $7,000 in royalties on those in 2019. So what things do you have that are like that are in the pipeline? Like Valari, you said, like this licensing of your content that's bringing in regular money. Coaches, here's a big one, being on retainer. So organizations need what's called an EAP program, an employee assistance program. A lot of times they just mostly need it to look like, in order to look good on the books, so that if somebody tries to like sue them, then they can say, well, we have an employee assistance program in place, and we let our employees all know how to do it, and they have full access to it. And if they didn't take advantage of that, then they can't say that we didn't provide whatever they needed us to provide. So one of the things that executive coaches will do is they'll know somebody that's in an organization, and they'll ask, does your organization have an EAP program? Do you need an EAP program? And they'll get a retainer. So like I have one business that pays me, and I don't have them pay me a lot, but they pay me basically $2,000 every 3 months. And it's just to be on retainer. And there are some months that I get 0 calls, but I just have certain timeframes that I have to make available to them. So I kind of let them know each month what the available timeframes are. And then they can always call and leave a message, and I have to call them back by the end of the day, like whoever calls and leaves a message. But it's just if an employee has a problem and they need somebody to talk through it with them, they need a coach, then that's what I'm being paid for. And like literally sometimes I don't get anything. Sometimes I think the most I've ever gotten was like 5 calls in a 3-month period. And the calls are usually 30 to 45 minutes. So I got paid $2,000 for that. So I'm on retainer. And again, that's guaranteed income that I know is coming in every 3 months. So thinking about that kind of thing. So break it down in terms of what of each thing you'd have to have in order to make money. I love the whole idea of one thing every day. And those of you who have taken my coach training programs, you know that I actually have this really awesome thing that I learned from one of my coaches, whose name is Kellen Flukiger, and OMG, he's really awesome. So I'll put his name up. It's Kellan, Kellam, Fluckiger. But he introduced this idea of a daily accountability ritual where you pick one action in each of the 4 areas of your life: body, like your health; bank, like your work and finances; being, which is like your emotional and spiritual and mental well-being; and balance, like your relationships and your hobbies and your personal growth. So body, bank, being, and balance. And you pick one action, tiny action that you'll take every day in those areas, and you score yourself. And at the end of every week, you should have 28 points. Peggy, we went through this with you a number of years ago when you were in a coaching program of mine. And nobody gets 28 the first week. So we say, make it a smaller goal then. And the key is to get to the point where no matter what, every single day you're doing this thing. And it's not the fact that you do the thing that matters, it's the discipline that you did it. So like for years as a presenter, to get my content up and running, I said, I'm going to take one slide every day, and I'm either going to make a training slide or I'm going to improve a training slide every day. That was one of my things that I did as a, like Jacqueline, you're talking about doing something, you know, each day. And then I also said, I'm going to make one new contact each day, someone that I connect with in person or on social media or on the phone or something. There's this thing called Landmark Education. It's kind of this weird, like interesting transformational seminar that you do. But one of the things Landmark asks you to do is just call people. Just call people and check in on them and see how they're doing. And when you do that all the time, eventually calling up organizations and saying, hey, I just wanted to check in and see if you have an EAP program, or hi, my name is Sherry Prindle, and I, you know, I'm here local, and I do a lot of training seminars with companies like Fred Prayer Seminars, and I just wondered if I could get on your list of people that you consider when you have training needs. How would I do that? How would I notice I'm not trying to like pressure them into anything. I don't have a problem making those calls anymore because I learned from Landmark to just call people, just randomly, people you know, and check in on them. How are you doing? What's going on with you? So maybe that's something that you could do every day, but what's a daily action? And the most important thing as we start to come to the end of this 2 hours together. And I always think when I get to the end of these, I wish it were more of a mastermind like I say it's going to be. But I think there's something weird about webinars that makes it so hard, because I ask people, what do you think? And then, you know, nobody says anything, and then they don't know what to say. And I guess maybe I should just pause longer when I ask you, what do you want? I guess I'm afraid of the silence, so I fill it. But we talked about from Kevin Hogan's article that there's that one thing that you know you need to do, that you can't seem to get yourself to do, or that you don't necessarily do. So what is that one thing? So what phone call do you need to make? What research do you need to do? What video do you need to record? What piece of content do you need to develop? What decision do you need to make? What piece of collateral material do you need to create, like a one sheet? That's the one thing that you know that you need to do next. And if you'll do that, you'll feel, and maybe it was something I offered today, because I told you I'd make you a website. I told you, you know, whatever it is. But I'd love to just check in with people and just ask them to share. So here's my answer. I've done, I'll go. So my one thing that I need to do is I did so much training for Dallas Independent School District when I lived in Dallas. It was phenomenal, and I got lots of referral business from it, and it really filled my pipeline. And I have never contacted the Kansas City School District and said, here's who I am, here's what I do, these are my credentials. And that's the one thing that I always know that I need to do. So I want to say that out loud and make this commitment that says, before our next quarterly webinar, I am going to make sure and do that and report back to you. You don't have to make that commitment to report back to us, but I'd love to hear everybody, like, what is one action that you know is going to make a huge difference if you'll just do it?
I just need to make more sales calls. Back to your breakdown of the money that I want to make.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's just going to be a numbers game, so I've got to put myself out there a ton. And I've really kind of conditioned my mind to be okay with the rejections, because I know that the more I put out there, there has to be some yeses in there as well. So I've just got to up my numbers.
Excellent. Love it.
This is Patricia.
Yes.
Mine would be putting my content in one place, and finishing up my book.
When you say putting your content in one place, what does that mean?
Well, being that I work from substance abuse and mental health, most of the time, I find myself working off of the content from the training classes that I've had to take nationally.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I may share my experiences and my strengths and my hope for what I'm doing and going into prisons and different things like that, I would like to have my own manual, my own book,
Oh, yeah.
my own thoughts, my own stuff together, even though I may be certifying them in wellness training or whatever I'm doing. I know I have a guideline that I have to follow when I'm in organizations, but I would like to put together my own manual and content so that I'm not just training from something that everybody else would do. Kind of put a spin on it, my own personal spin on it, I guess.
I like it. I can help you strategize that if you need. That's awesome. Excellent. Thank you. Somebody else?
This is Peggy,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a guy named Jeff, and I have had him on my hot list for far too long, and it's gotten extremely cold. I have got to call him because he got promoted recently to a director of sales, and he needs some LinkedIn training.
Excellent. Love it.
So I'm going to put it out there.
Yes. All right. Somebody else. What's one thing that you know is going to be a big key thing for you?
It's Jacqueline again.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an issue in terms of, for example, like doing videos and like getting on Facebook Live and just throwing it out there. This is what I do. And so that for me, I would like to get past that and just kind of have a better strategy to approach, start getting content out that way.
Okay. And depending on if we still have a little time at the end of this, I actually was going to end up with a quick piece on how to make your one sheet fast and how to make a video like that fast. So good.
Cool.
Someone else? One action?
Sherry, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
It does go with this, but it's not what you just asked. But when Jacqueline just said that, I am very much a verbal and a visual learner versus a written learner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't like to read too long. I buy my books audio. I listen to everything audio because I like to hear. I learn by hearing and seeing. And when I have to sit down and write stuff out, I'm good at what I do. I'm great at what I say, but I'm terrible at putting it in a written form. And that's why I don't really, I guess that's where my curve is. And I know I need to get better at that. So if there was one thing that I really would like to do, it's like writing down the things. I can do a journal, something short.
I think you should just speak it, record it, and get it transcribed. Where's the cheap place to get things transcribed? Anybody?
What's the question, Sherry?
Anybody know a cheap place to get things transcribed, audio transcribed?
When I worked for the orthopedic surgeon's office in town here, we had like a transcription service. So I think you can just probably look within your town, especially doctors use that service a lot, to see if that service is available. And they charge, their prices vary, so you can negotiate your best price. That's
So we
my
should post it in
advice for
social
that.
media. Yeah, because there's cheap ones too out there. Yeah. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank
Patricia,
you.
I don't think you should do that. I mean, I got to be honest. I think in the end, we should leverage our strengths. And I think that you sitting down, forcing yourself to write this stuff down when it's what you hate. I don't mean hate, but I don't think that's a good use of your time. So if you've got people, for example, that want free coaching from you, then you say, great, here's what you'll do. I need you to transcribe. I'm going to give you an audio. I need you to take my audio and type it all out for me. And in exchange, I'll give you coaching. You know, do a trade-off, or use some of these phone apps, you know, the voice recognition phone apps, and see how well they do. But I just think that you should look to recording and transcribing rather than writing, if that's the case for you. That's just my opinion.
I agree too, Sherry. I actually have someone that was assisting me with a couple of things, and she found out a way to get my appearances on TV transcribed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll have to find out what she uses. I'm not sure. But
Well,
it was
YouTube
really
even transcribes your videos for you after a few weeks when you put them up.
Say that again?
If you put a video up on YouTube, YouTube will transcribe it.
That's
Just
what I think.
automatically.
Yep, I think you're right. I think it's YouTube. That's what it is. I think so.
It's a bad transcription. It's just using a machine to do it, but it's a great start.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Is there a fee for that? On
No,
YouTube?
no.
Oh, cool.
YouTube just does that to the videos that are on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Valari, anybody else have a, Terry, anybody else have a, Sarah, I know you're at work, so if you can't say anything, I get it.
This call was fabulous, so thank you. And I'm sending you some emails after we get off the call, and when you get a chance, if you have time to look it over, I'd be grateful.
All right.
Thanks for everybody for all the great insight, because I'm powered down and trying to learn as much as I can and sponge up as much as I can. So I'm grateful for everybody that's on the call. I don't know you, but hopefully one day I'll get a chance to meet you.
So just to kind of finish up then, I do think that it is important, if you're a speaker, to have kind of a one sheet, or if you're a coach, to have some kind of like a sales sheet. If you've done my coaching courses or the Star Marketing Summit, look through your materials. I do have all this stuff. And if you have questions like, where do I find that stuff, then tell me. Like recently, I use Microsoft Publisher. You can use Word. You probably would rather me say use Word because but I use Publisher. So if I'm going to just show you a demo, then I'm going to use Publisher. So what happened recently was that one of my coaching clients, Gunnar Vielander, had a gig coming up, and I was like, you need to have a one sheet for this. So he's like, okay. And I said, okay, give me a minute. And I went on his website and I took the bio information from his website, as well as the information of the names of the talks that he does. And I ended up sending it to him in Word. So I want you to get that you could absolutely do this in Word. You would just use it. I recommend using text boxes instead of using the actual word processing, because it's really hard to move things around in Word. So I just put like, this is a text box, right? This is a text box. This is a text box. And then I took a couple of pictures from his website and I just downloaded them. And one of the things I did was just take there's a little filter where it'll do like a soft edges thing on them. And so I did the soft edges on the pictures to kind of make them look fancier. And then at the bottom, and that's weird looking, but I don't think it actually looks like that when it prints, but I just put a strip at the bottom with this contact information and that kind of thing. And I literally put this together in like a half an hour. So primarily if you have a bio, a couple of pictures, a headline and your contact info, this is not a great one sheet, but hey, it's better than not having a one sheet at all, right? And he really needed one for an activity that he was doing. This is one of the one sheets that I created kind of early. So it's just that thing that Jeff was talking about earlier, not so much your resume, but just like a thing where you introduce yourself to your audience. Hi, I'm Sherry Prindle, and here's what I'm passionate about. Here's what I'd like to do for you, right? So that's kind of the big piece there. And then I have the actual resume here. So this is me having a chat with the person. Hi, introducing myself, talking to them in first person. Then here's kind of like the little bio that's in the third person that kind of officially tells what I do. And then if you do topics, then this is your list of topics. And I also, and then like my specific names of presentations, right? And then what I had here was some, like any other services that I offer. And then your contact info should be on both sides, which this one, I submitted it to a speakers bureau. So I call it my scrubbed version, because the speakers bureau doesn't let you brand it with anything but your name. So no website, no email address, no email, no, website, no phone number. But that's, again, not a really, really hard process. And if you've graduated from my coaching course, these are the kinds of things that I can absolutely help you with. But the fact is, I really, really believe that whatever obstacle is between you and getting clients and even making all the money that you really want to make, is it looks like it's big because it's right here in your face, but it's actually really small. That it's a matter of perspective, and it's right here in your face. And I hope that doing webinars like this kind of helps you zoom out and see, what if the one action that you take is, once you take that one action, then it gets smaller. And every time you take that one action, then it gets you closer. What if you don't know what the next step is until you take this step? And the key is to always take this step. And that from now on, and the one thing that you feel like you don't want to do is the thing that you do, and you make it a game. Oh, there it is, the thing that I don't want to do. Ooh, thank you so much for making yourself so clear to me by me not wanting you to do it so much. Now I know. Yeah, I never have to ask again, what should I do? You should do the thing that you most don't want to do. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Sherry.
A couple of
Hey,
hours.
Sherry.
Yes, Jacqueline.
So, I've been saying that the thing I don't want to do, I'm eating my toad every day. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard the term.
Yeah,
So
Brian
I've just,
eat that frog. Yeah.
yep, I've just been eating it. Like, I'm like, look, I don't know what the end result's gonna be, but it's the one thing, and I don't see an immediate result. But it's like when Valeria and I were talking about, moving forward and empowering women, planting the seed, and then at the end, when you see that beautiful garden, you're like, yes. But it
And you'll
started
see
by
it
this
sprout 6 months down the
planting.
road, a year down the road. Yep.
Yes. So absolutely, I agree.
So, thank you all so much, and let me know what I can do to help.
You're
Thanks,
welcome,
Sherry.
Sherry.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.